Welcome to the SBR NHL Double Play. It's the Play of the Day video. We're back, baby, as Frank Costanza once said. It is Saturday, November 30th, as we are back. Actually, didn't really go away. We were on the Betting with the Bag show twice this week, breaking down the NHL card. I absolutely enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun. But now we're back into our regular format here, 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, 3 days a week. It's the NHL Play of the Day video. Adam and I, we give you our top play each video on the day's NHL betting card, and we're looking to keep it going. We're both in profit for the season, which is the long-term season-ending goal, to be plus units. That's the goal of any bettor and any handicapper in any sport, and we're no different. So we're hoping to keep it going here on this Saturday card. Let's start with Adam and the play he has circled for his play of the day on this Saturday, November 30th. He's going to the Washington Capitals Detroit Red Wings game. We've got Washington minus 220. Road favorites, total 6.5, shaded to the under, courtesy of SBRodds.com. Make sure you're using that resource every single day. Matchup pages, weather, TV information for your games, and of course, it'll help you get the best line and price with all of your wagers. We know the Detroit Red Wings are in an absolute world of hurt right now. Both of their play on the ice, the injuries that they've sustained off the ice. I mean, 3 of their top 6 starting defensemen have been out for a long time. Talk about Green, Daly, and DeKaiser. You talk about some key forwards being out. One of their top offensive forces recently going down to injury, and Anthony Mantha struggling to keep the puck out of their net, struggling with their goaltending, struggling to score. There's not really an area that the Detroit Red Wings aren't struggling in right now, and it looks like Adam's chosen to pick on them here tonight against the Washington Capitals. Adam, you liking the Capitals laying the 1.5 goals?
Yeah, picking on them, I guess. That's what I'm expecting the opposition to do. That's what the opposition's done the past two days. Look, so since they lost Mantha, the offense has dried up even to a more drastic point than it had been. And like if you just look over the past 4 games, it's rock bottom. They've scored 1 goal, 0 goals, 0 goals, 0 goals, and 1 goal. And one of my friends, colleagues who's a big Detroit Red Wings fan yesterday just said, Adam, I'm surprised you're not taking, the team total over, 5.5, the minus 2.5, minus 3.5 against them. Like, why aren't you throwing everything at them since this is rock bottom for the Red Wings? It's probably rock bottom for the last few seasons. I mean, this is dire. And I mean, I'm not somebody that likes to fade a bad team. But the statistics behind the Red Wings are also very poor at the moment. And this is Washington. It's a very good team that's playing good. They don't typically play to the level of their opposition, meaning, generally this season, I'm talking about that, they haven't been, the recipients. They did lose against the Rangers on a Wednesday night as a road favorite, but generally speaking, they have been taking care of business against the lesser teams in the league as well. But over the past 5 games, the Red Wings have 24 shots on the opposition's net. They're allowing 40 against. I mean, with that type of disparity between your shots for and your shots against, you are going to struggle to get into games. And so the plus money on the Puckline was a bit of a surprise to me, even though, yes, Washington did play last night, but so did the Red Wings. Detroit, maybe because they're at home, we can say they're more likely to come out and pot a goal or 2 early on. But this is a power play over the last 5 games that hasn't scored. Their penalty kill is sitting around the same number as the Red Wings. But if their power play isn't doing anything, then, Samsonov can be in net, and I'm not going to be concerned that the Red Wings are going to pot 5 on him. If they do, tweet at me, let me know what an idiot I was to say that. But there's nothing for me to think that the puck line isn't value here. I'm on a lot of dogs today. Typically, it's pretty close to a 50-50 split on some of these big cards for me. But today, the Washington Capitals are one of my few favorite teams that I found the value in, and I've only taken the Washington puck line so far at plus 120, but I am considering taking Detroit team total under. I saw it at like minus 125 half an hour ago. So I still think until we see Detroit really switch something up in their play, maybe they get a few days off and can switch up the lines, or maybe somebody returns to. I mean, Backstrom is out for the Caps, so they're not perfectly 100%. But Mantho, he's expected, middle of December. Jimmy Howard's still hurt. And it was saying, it just, you look down their roster, they've got some guys that have just been out for a good duration, and I don't see the guys that are in the lineup, other than catching a sleeping Washington early on. But even if the Wings are up 2-0, we saw the floodgates open in every one of their last, 3 of their last 4 games here. So it's a straightforward. I say this a lot. It's not something that I'm trying to read into. Was there a coach that gave a little pep talk in a press conference last night that could hint at something more from the Red Wings today? No, I'm not reading into it. Both teams are on a back-to-back. You can expect kind of the same things to go into today. So that's where I'm at, Ian. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's fine, this play, absolutely, because to me, I don't try to outthink things or overthink things when it comes to teams like Detroit that are in a just absolute mess right now, and they've on a miserable losing streak. Their play on the ice is not good. They're ravaged by key injuries as well to the team and the company, and they're facing a really tough schedule too. They face some pretty good teams during this time, and they've proven they're not able to step up in class. I mean, getting bombed yesterday by the Philadelphia Flyers. I know Philadelphia is a solid team, but it tells you all you need to know. I mean, this team's just struggling mightily in all areas, offensively, defensively. Their goaltending has been erratic. Really, it's their scoring that's really dried up. And you see the impact of the loss of Mantha, who was playing so well on the top line for the Detroit Red Wings with Tyler Bertuzzi and Dylan Larkin most of this season. And without him, boy, it puts a lot more pressure and onus on Larkin, and we're not seeing enough of the secondary scores. Where's Tennessee? He hasn't shown up often enough. And some of these other guys that you're counting on, where's he gone? Yeah.
Absolutely. And Athanasiou's plus minus is terrible. I don't know if I can say it's one of the worst in the league, but it's up there. It's really bad. And we were talking earlier, a few weeks ago about, the fresh breath with Fabry coming in and the dynamic with Bertuzzi. Well, those things are still there. But again, you lose a key player, then you're forced to be limited in your offensive weapons. Every time things are, if Howard's injured or, Bernier's sick, it's just the odds are stacked against you. And so a plus number on a top team, even on the road, I mean, generally speaking, I mentioned this with the Leafs coming into Detroit the other day. Yeah, okay, generally big home dogs, you're probably going to do all right historically if because chalky road favorites aren't a great place, like we saw with the Leafs yesterday. They can work out very dangerously. But this Detroit team is not just a lower team or a team playing bad. They have issues in so many areas of the ice, plus injuries, plus, illness. And so again, it's, the Caps can lose this game straight up today. I'm okay with getting a plus number on the puck line. I'm not going to add the -2.5, but I will look at the team total under for the Wings because, again, their offense has not shown improvement even in these drastic losses. So let's move on to yours, man. I'm excited to hear we got an interesting home and home with the Leafs Buffalo.
Yes,
so why
we
don't
do.
you get into that?
Well, we know that yesterday was the first loss for the Toronto Maple Leafs, obviously under the Sheldon Keefe regime. First loss, a poorly played game. A game where actually they were in control. They came out pretty well. They got out to a 2-0 lead. Yeah. Second period, it got away from them. Buffalo got 4 unanswered goals. And I hate to pile on Michael Hutchinson, but he got a second opportunity with this Leaf team. He was called up, got the start yesterday. It's the first time actually that the backup goalie for the Leafs has started the front end of the back-to-back games. Mike Babcock always opted to have his backup goalie play the second game in the back-to-back. And so Sheldon Keefe put Michael Hutchinson in a very good position to succeed. And unfortunately, Michael Hutchinson didn't take advantage of the opportunity. Not saying he should have stopped all those Buffalo goals in the second period, but you look at it, his glove hand was just absolutely picked on by Buffalo. They found a weakness there, and they exploited it. I thought the goal by Eichel along the ice, that should have been stopped. And then there were a couple that I don't know about should have been stopped, but could have been stopped. There's goalies that make some of those saves that unfortunately Hutchinson did not. It was not one of the best. It was probably the worst defensive game for the Leafs since Keefe's been there. But there were a couple of those Buffalo goals that you say, with better goaltending, there's a save or two. You'd like, not that you want to save, it's got to be stopped, but you'd like a save or two with some of those goals that Buffalo scored in the second period, which really is the period that turned that game around. I don't think this means, wow, Toronto now, watch it, same old Toronto now. They'll go back in the tank again. I don't think so. They get another crack at Buffalo tonight. This is going to be the first home game. They've been on the road forever, this Leafs team. They're going to be so excited to be back home. It's the first home game for Sheldon Keefe since he's been the coach. They're going to have Frederik Andersen in net, who's been really good these first few starts since the coaching change. A chance to get back at the Buffalo Sabres. And the Buffalo Sabres are not a team that I trust to win more than one game in a row. You look at, I think, each of the last 3 times they've won a game, they've lost the very next game. They've not been able to get on a winning streak. They've not been able to string good performances together. And I think that continues here. I think Toronto's amped up. They'll be fired up. They'll come out smoking. Frederik Andersen, obviously a net tonight after Hutchinson got the start last night. And he's been, as I said, excellent coming off that shutout against Detroit the other night, played well in the wins against Arizona and Colorado as well, very well in those games. So I think Toronto gets back at the Sabres here. Sabres have shown me no consistency. Let's not forget they're still really banged up at the forward position right now. Key injuries there. Rasmus Dahlin out indefinitely, one of their best defensemen, one of their best puck movers. Obviously, they survived these injuries yesterday, but doing it on the second night of back-to-back when you're shorthanded, that's also another thing you want to factor in. We talked about Detroit, all the injuries. It's much worse second night of back-to-back games for teams that are battling significant injuries.
That's a good
because
point.
You've got players that aren't used to playing extra ice time like this and playing all these minutes on back-to-back nights. So Detroit falls into a category. Injury-plagued team could suffer on a second night of back-to-backs, and so does Buffalo. They could suffer in that spot. I think Toronto is going to be okay. Bounce back here. And again, we've been riding the Leafs throughout the since the coaching change was made. Last time was the first time they didn't get it done. I don't usually jump out of riding a team in a spot like this until I lose 2 in a row. So that would include me getting back on the Leaf train here tonight at a reasonable number. Again, much like you, it's like we got different teams but similar thought processes. I thought we'd get even money or even minus 110 here with the Leafs on the puck line. In fact, we can get plus 115 with them. Or it was plus 115 when I got him. I think it's down to plus 105, but still plus price right now with the Leafs on the puck line, minus 1.5 goals. I like it. I think they beat Buffalo at home by 2 goals or more. And it's worth noting Carter Hutton, who's going to probably be in net for Buffalo after Allmark started. After a great start to the season, it's not been all that good for Carter Hutton in recent starts. He's really had a downturn. And I think, actually, believe it or not, the goalie that was in better form of late for Buffalo was the guy that was in net yesterday. That was Linus Allmark. So I think the Leafs take advantage, bounce back strong, and I don't think they'll take Buffalo for granted after the kind of a messy performance they had yesterday in Buffalo. So I'll lay the puck and a half on the puck line, Toronto, minus 1.5 goals, plus 115.
I'm on the other side of that one, Ian. I've been going again with the coaching change the last 2 games prior. I went against my model and took the Leafs, and I did so again last night. Buffalo was priced at like plus 180, and I think I had them at plus 140, and I went against it. I'm not going to do that tonight, and I'll probably pay for it, but over the long term, I think that this is what I got to do.
I'll say maybe you won't pay for it. Buffalo does always play Toronto tough. They always get up for Toronto, but especially in Buffalo, that's the thing. I mean, I think now Toronto's the team that gets up tonight.
I think the fact that it's the back-to-back is a great positional spot for your play. I really do. That is what would lead me to be less confident in taking the Sabres today. But if we get into a shootout, I mean, the Leafs have more weapons, but that's not really the type of game they want to be playing against the Sabres, given that, like you said, Anderson's the better goalie in net. Why are they not shutting them down on the defensive end if, Keefe has brought in some new structure on the back end, and, it shouldn't be.
Yesterday was the first day we didn't see that structure.
It looked sloppy in their own zone. Jimmy Vesey has had a hot hand recently. Eichel, we know, has had a hot hand recently. They don't really have a breadth of offense at the moment. But if you let that kind of those couple guys get going, or if there's too many 2-on-1s, and that's how you get killed when really you could control the play. Like we saw with Montreal the other day, control so much of the play against the Devils. They allow 3 or 4 2-versus-1s and a breakaway, and they're down 4-2.
Yeah.
And those are the types of games where you just sort of bang your head against the wall because you're like, I know the spot that I'm taking. I know the reasons I'm taking it. Why can I not just get the team to play a little bit more sound and less sloppy defensively? So I am going to take the Sabres, but I agree, I should say, with the reasons you laid out, and positionally, scheduling wise, I think as far as Toronto getting just their payback here at home, I think that has a lot of credibility.
All right, very good. So that there we go. We're both going the puck line route here today with play of the day. Adam, Washington -1.5 plus 120, and I'm on Toronto -1.5 plus 115. All right, that's going to wrap up our SBR NHL play of the day video for Saturday, November 30th. Make sure you join us again Tuesday, which would be December the 3rd. We'll be back then, 10:15 a.m. Eastern time for our next SBR NHL double play show. For Adam Booth, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Cash those tickets on the ice, and we'll see you again right here on Tuesday for our next edition of the SBR NHL double play.